Today, we're going to dig into a really counterintuitive piece of advice from King Solomon, who's known as one of the wisest people in history. And it's a warning that kind of challenges our whole idea of what it means to be a good person, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, our best intentions could lead us down a pretty dangerous road.
I mean, that sounds totally backward, right? We're all taught to be good, to be wise, to be the best we can be. But Solomon wants us to just pause for a second and ask if there's a hidden danger in that constant pursuit of goodness and wisdom.
And here it is, straight from the book of Ecclesiastes. This is the big paradox we're going to unpack. What on earth could he mean by being over-righteous or over-wise? And how could that possibly lead to destroying yourself? It sounds crazy.
Okay, so let's start with the first part of his warning. The issue isn't being genuinely righteous. Not at all. It's about being overly righteous. And that is a very subtle but absolutely critical distinction.
You see, this is righteousness as a performance. It's something we make up for ourselves, a standard we create. And often, the hidden motive is to feel just a little bit better, a little superior to everyone else.
And you can see the red flags popping up right away. It starts with legalism, adding all these extra man-made rules to what God actually said. And that naturally leads to pride, where you're constantly judging and comparing yourself to others. It all becomes about you, your outward actions, your own merit, instead of what's in your heart. You end up trusting in yourself, not in grace.
And here's the really sneaky part. This trap can actually disguise itself as humility. But if you think about it, a constant, obsessive focus on your own sinfulness, well, that's still a focus on yourself, which is really just another form of pride. True humility, as C.S. Lewis so brilliantly put it, isn't about beating yourself up, it's about shifting your focus off yourself completely and onto others.
So let's shift gears to the second part of Solomon's warning, which is totally connected, the danger of being too wise. And again, he's not against real wisdom. He's warning us about a twisted, arrogant version of it.
This is what happens when our pursuit of knowledge becomes less about finding truth and more about feeding our ego. It's when we start to believe that our own brain power, our own intellect can solve everything. And we don't really need any divine help, thank you very much.
This intellectual arrogance makes us wise in our own eyes. We start trying to figure out all of God's secret plans, like we can map out the entire universe with our own logic. We become so self-sufficient, so obsessed with complexity, that we can actually miss the simple, beautiful truths that are right in front of us.
And look, if anyone knew about this, it was Solomon. He was the wisest man alive, and he chased after knowledge relentlessly. And what did he find? He found that on its own, it just led to more sorrow and grief. He famously called it chasing after the wind. It's an empty pursuit.
So you've got these two sides of the very same coin, self-righteousness on one side, intellectual arrogance on the other, and they're both just different flavors of pride. So now let's get to the heart of Solomon's question. Why is this so destructive?
He puts it so starkly. Why should you destroy yourself? This isn't just about a minor character flaw. He's saying this is a path that actively leads to your own ruin. The pride that fuels both of these extremes is, by its very nature, self-destructive.
Because when you boil it all down, that's what pride is. It's self-worship. It's the rebellion of putting ourselves at the center of our own universe, making ourselves the idol.
And just look at the fallout from this. You get burnout and spiritual emptiness. Your relationships crumble because of judgment or intellectual snobbery. And maybe most critically, pride alienates you from grace. It cuts you off from the very help and mercy you desperately need.
You've heard this a million times, but it's famous for a reason. This proverb just perfectly sums up Solomon's warning. The path of putting yourself first, whether morally or intellectually, only has one final destination.
Okay, so if those extremes are the road to ruin, what's the alternative? Well, Solomon doesn't leave us hanging. The safe path is found in a completely different attitude, humility.
The solution he offers again and again is the fear of God. And I know that phrase can sound a little scary, but this isn't about being terrified of God. It's about a deep, guiding reverence, a sense of awe that helps you organize your entire life around pleasing Him.
This is a fantastic way to picture it. Think of it like a road. On one side, you've got the ditch of legalistic self-righteousness. On the other side, you've got the ditch of just outright wickedness. But the fear of God, that reverence, keeps you on the safe path right down the middle, helping you avoid both of those dangerous extremes.
And that path, ultimately, is paved with humility.
And I love this definition, it's so key. It's not about thinking less of yourself. It's not about self-hatred. It's about thinking of yourself less. It's the freedom you find when you finally get your own ego out of the picture.
So, this all comes back to us, doesn't it? Solomon's warning forces us to look in the mirror because pride is incredibly deceptive. Is your blind spot in your moral achievements, or is it in your intellectual confidence? It's a tough question, but it's one that's absolutely worth asking.